Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday Facebook Live here at Artistic Artifacts. My name's Andy. Welcome to the live. We're going to give it a minute so that folks can get all joined in. If you have a chance, please put where you're from in the chat so that we can see where how large the community continues to grow. That's one of the best things about Artistic Artifacts is just what a wonderful community of creatives that we've got here. Today I'm going to be showing you a couple options and techniques to create quilt labels. So we've got we've got a lot of quilters in the community, and so it's this is a great way to sign your work. Essentially, we're artists with fabric, so it might as well sign your work just like an artist with a canvas would. So again, as you're joining in, please give us a shout, say hi, and tell us where you're from. So we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to show you first off how I do a quilt label that is a triangle that is in the corner. So and we're going to use the 990 with the embroidery module to do this today. So first off, I've got the on the screen here. I'm in the embroidery mode, and I'm going to select one of the lettering stitches, and I'm going to come in here. I'm going to come down and select the quilt block stitch, or the quilt block alphabet, and that opens up then the alphabet here. So I'm going to type out made with care. Alrighty, and then with the 990, I can actually return and then continue versus doing it one line at a time by Andy Martin. And then I like to put the year that I just to so that I know when I made it, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna center it, and then I'm gonna hit the green check mark button. Alrighty, and that now shows up here in the screen. So what we're seeing though is that so I'm going to go ahead and rotate the text 90 degrees. And I'm going to do that by opening up the edit window and rotate, and I'm going to go 45, 45, and I'm actually going to go all the way around so that it's all the way that way. And then you'll also see that right now this is pretty big. We're in the giant hoop. It's showing up it selected the giant hoop. So I'm going to resize this. And with the 990, I'm gonna actually resize pretty far down. And I'm gonna just with the dial here. I'm gonna, and normally with embroidery I wouldn't reduce or resize more than 20% one way or the other. With the letters, I can get away with it, but I recommend that you always stitch out a sample to try and see before you stitch out your project. So now we're seeing that, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select the large Freearm hoop as the hoop that I'm going to use today, and we'll get the stabilizer hooped up. And then the other thing that I'm going to change about this is that I'm going to move it a little to the, I'm not going to vertically, I want to move it horizontally a little to the right so that it's a little to the right of center. Okay, so I'm happy with where we're at there. And then but I'm seeing that it's still pretty large there, so I'm gonna go back into my resize window, and I'm gonna resize a little bit more, get it down so that it's it's a little bit more manageable. All right. So that's kind of the setup that we've got. We're gonna slide over, and I'm gonna hoop up the stabilizer and show you how I get the fabric going. So again, today I'm going to use the large Freearm hoop, and I like the large Freearm hoop because it's about the same size as the medium hoop, but it has this great release clamp. So that's much easier to maneuver and to tighten up and everything. And also, if you're doing any type of garment or anything, the large Freearm hoop, because instead of the attachment point to the module is on top, that allows you to have a garment that would go down, and so you can work with garments better. But so we're gonna use the large Freearm hoop today, and I'm using the stabilizer I'm using today is Stable Stick. So this stabilizer, it's a tearaway, and right now it's got a coating on it, or it's got a paper, and we're going to remove that, and it's sticky. I really like using Stable Stick. It's my favorite tearaway stabilizer. So again, I've got the outside hoop on the mat, or on the surface. I'm just going to put the stabilizer on here, and then I'm going to put the top of the hoop on. I'm lining it up on the top, and then I'm just pushing down to hold it, and then click, and now we're in there. I am going to just adjust it so that the inner hoop is just a little below the outer hoop. And again, we've got that. Now, what I do now is I'm going to take the grid the alignment grid that comes with the hoop. I'm going to put that in place. Oh, I'm upside down. So you always want the BERNINA facing up and in the bottom right hand corner. And I'm going to, just with a pencil, mark the little dots here that are cut out on the grid, just to give me a little some points of reference. Then I'm going to turn it over, and then I have to hold it up a little bit so that I can see through the stabilizer. But that way I can draw a line down those dots on the back, so that I've got so that I'll have a reference point later. Then I'm just going to draw a cross, just line up my ruler so that I get a square. Feel like I'm back in 5th grade or kindergarten or whatever. Then I'm also going to draw an X so that I get a center of that square. And now I can line up and do a line top to bottom on the back side. And that line, that I'm going to be able to see these lines on the other side, and that's going to be what I use to line up the fabric on. So again, Stable Stick has this paper coating to protect the sticky side. So I just take a stiletto, go all the way around it, and then I draw an X, and then carefully get you lift up that paper and then expose the sticky. Okay, so now we've got the sticky out. Then I'm going to set that aside for just a second. I've got the fabric that I'm going to use to make the label today. It's this nice green fabric. It's cut into a 10-inch square. So I'm just going to fold that in half diagonally, and then with the hoop, the way that it will be oriented on the machine, I'm just going to line up. And it kind of reminds me of when my mom used to make pie crust, and make pie. She would fold the top in half and then flip it over, and that's all I'm going to do here. And then I'm just going to smooth it down so that it's there. So this is called floating the fabric in the hoop. So again, I don't have it secured, but it is, because of the sticky on the stable stick, it's gonna stick on, and it's gonna give us a nice stitch out. Then the other thing that I use, and this is kind of a belt and suspenders approach, is I use a little bit of wash away stabilizer as a topper. And this is the OESD Stitch 2.0, and I pre-cut a little piece here, and I'm just going to align that roughly with the fabric, and then using the OESD paper tape, I'm gonna go ahead and just tape that on to onto the fabric, just so that it's gonna stay nice and it's not gonna move on us. I like to put the topper on so that the stitching stays nice and proud on about the and with this, it's probably not as important as with other things, but I like to put the topper on so that the stitching doesn't get buried into the fabric.
That's a great suggestion. We do have one question.
Okay.
Is there a way to just put the dots on the back of the stabilizer?
So the question about the dots on the back of the stabilizer. So the challenge with trying to put the dots on the back of the stabilizer, I don't have, on the top, I have these little grooves that the grid fits into, and I also have, you might not be able to see, but there's a tab on the top, or on the top left and bottom right, that the grid will fit into. I don't have that on the back, so that's why I have to make the dots on the front first, and then flip it over to draw the lines.
The tools for the alignment on the front.
Yes. Alrighty, we're going to go over to the machine, and we're going to go ahead and get the pre-stage the hoop here. So I am going to go ahead and tell the hoop, You're
using a mouse.
Yes, and I'm using the mouse, and this is, I wanted to be able to so that everybody could see the screen more, but this, you can use a mouse that, and it's a standard. This is not even the mouse that came with the Judy didn't even know I was bringing in the mouse.
It's a very cool
mouse. This is a mouse that I use at home, but yes, so we're using the mouse, and then I'm going to select the stitch out screen. So again, we've got the lettering all ready to go here. So the green stitch arrow. So again, right now it's not, so the 990 has hoop detection. So it will, when I attach the hoop, it will know. We've got the 26 presser foot on. We're not using thread away. We do have the thread cutting on the jump stitches set to 3 millimeters. I like to do a basting around the design, and there we go. So now it's telling me to attach the hoop. So I'm just going to pinch and load the hoop on. And now it's telling me, and the nice thing about the 990, it would actually, instead of just having the picture, it actually tells you what's going to happen. So it's telling me that it's going to move the hoop to get set up here. All right, and you'll see now that we've attached the hoop, it does detect the large Freearm hoop here. So we're going to check the green box here. Alrighty. Now I've got white polyfast thread, here in the here loaded up into the machine. We're using Deco Bob in the bobbin, and I am using the yellow bobbin case. So the yellow bobbin case is our high tension bobbin case, and that's going to help pull that top thread to the back of the workpiece, so that so that you've got a really clean finish on the embroidery. It it does come standard with the 990, yes. So just all right. Now, one thing I like to, so we're gonna stitch out the basting box first, and then it'll start stitching the letters. What I'm going to do first is bring up the bobbin thread, and my trusty tweezers here, and I do like to hold the both the top thread and the bobbin thread when it starts, just so, because I have find when it starts with the basting stitch, sometimes if I don't hold the top and bottom thread, they don't necessarily all catch. So then we're gonna go ahead here and hit the stitch. Alrighty. And again, I'm going to bring the bob, so now we're going to start on the lettering. So again, I'm going to bring the bobbin thread up, and this one is a little shorter, so right in there. And again, I like to hold it, and then we're going to just hit it and go. And the nice thing here, so it's tying some securing stitches. And what this is telling me is that it's going to be about a 9-minute stitch out. So it just is going to continue working through. And again, you can see here it's telling us that it's 9 minutes. And it also gives us the stitch count, where we're at in the stitch, where in the stitch count there. And again, this is at a relatively medium speed. We've got the slider here, on a relatively medium area. So this is really a quick little project. Especially once you have your workflow down. So Kyle, while this is stitching out, let's move over here to the 790. So another option that we've got is to stitch using the decorative stitches, you've got every one of our computerized machines has the alphabets. So on the third icon here, you've got several, whatever alphabets you've got on your machine. I'm going to go ahead and select the block letters, and then if I hit the A, you'll see that it's just going to show a row of A's, and we don't want that. So, many of you may have been wondering, what is this little plus button at the bottom center of the screen? And that when we push that button, it's going to go into combi mode, and you'll see that now on the screen we have this new column that's showing. And what that is going to allow us to do is to select each of the different letters, or potentially, if you were using this with decorative stitches, different decorative stitches that you can put together to create a pattern. And so what I'm going to do is type the same pattern, the same thing that we did on the other one. I've just got to. Unfortunately, it's not the keyboard's a little more rudimentary, so I missed the M. And then we're going to go just type made. And what you can see here is that the letters are starting to show up in that combi mode column. Now there's no space in combi mode, so we're going to just use an underline. And then I'm going to go continue with width. And then go back to the space or the underline. And then type care. Alrighty. So you can see now that I've created made with care, and that is now, you'll see we're starting to see that here on the stitching, what the virtual stitching line there. So then I could add my put in my fabric and then could stitch this out. The major difference with this versus the embroidery is that when you're stitching with combi mode and like this, you want to stabilize your fabric. So I recommend adding some Pellon 101 or SF 101, which is a fusible woven interfacing to the back of your fabric before and then using that to stitch. And Kyle, I've got a sample that we can show. So I've got a couple samples. So I started and I tried this and I ran into some problems. Not surprising. Again, this is where you always want to start with a sample. And again, I've got the SF 101 on the back. So I was trying to make the label, and I got some over here. I got some puckering, so I put it away for the night, and I came back. And so what I thought what might be better is if I created a little grid. So I drew with pencil the lines that I wanted to use for references, but then I drew every half inch so that I could get a sense of how large each of these stitches would be with the combi mode stitch. So each one of these rows I typed out or created in the same manner that I just showed you. And then what I did afterwards was I saved each of the lines of stitching into my favorites folder by using the heart icon, so that I could then move on to the next one and then would be able to come back to it once I was ready to stitch. So this gave me a good sense that I had roughly roughly 5 inches, 4.5 to 5 inches per each stitch. So then I was able to come back, and again, this one has the Pellon SF 101. So then I came in, and I got my fabric, drew it in half, got drew a center line, and then the line 2 inches to the right of that line, so that I could, uh, or as you're looking at it, left, um, so that I knew where to start and where to put my presser foot. And with the 20C presser foot, which is the standard applique and embroidery foot, I was able to line up there, and then I let it stitch all the way down. And then when you get to that last letter, you want to make sure to hit your pattern end button, which is the little the little the little triangle with the dots after the triangle versus the pattern begin, which is the dots before. Otherwise, after you finish the pattern, it's going to start over, and it's going to type another, or start stitching another line of this all the way. So then I was able to move down and continue and keep going. And you'll also see that I messed up, and I did the math wrong, and so I was way off center. Now, quite honestly, I could have probably, once you fold it over and trim it, no one would ever know. But I wanted to try and get it as close as possible. So I was able to do this to get that stitched out with the combi mode. Are there any questions about combi mode?
About the lettering style that you chose?
Yep.
What was it?
The lettering for the combi mode?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the lettering style, I chose on the alphabet, I chose the first block letter. And again, it's going to depend on your machine which alphabets you have, but I like just the block letters, for especially for combi mode.
And then we had one going back to the 990.
Okay.
Why didn't you use the thread away?
Right. So the thread away is basically, so with this simple of a design, I wasn't too worried about it. What the thread away will do is that after the machine has cut the thread and moved on to the next letter, it will move the needle out, away to essentially pull it out, and then it will move it back. I have found that with this, it's just not necessary, because it's such a basic stitch, or a simple project there. I've also, when I have used thread away at home on other projects, I've found that sometimes I ran into problems with it, so it's just not something that I tend to use, and so that's why I don't use it. So the 990 has finished stitching. Amazing. So we got here. When you finish any stitch out, it's gonna show you a finished screen. It tells you how long it took, how many stitches, and show you show you everything there. So I'm going to close out of that screen, and then that's going to reset. I'm going to take the hoop off the module, and then I'm going to slide over here. Now the nice thing about, again, this hoop is to release it. There's a little pinch, and it's now released, and I can pull that off, and we've got the workpiece with the stitch away, or the stitch 2-0. We'll be able to remove the the topper quickly. We've got people waiting. So you can see that, with a little cleanup, this will all go fine. I do have a couple. I have a sample that I did. So this is an example, that I stitched out last night. So same process, and I didn't I didn't remove the stabilizer from the center, but that's what the back looks like. And then just as one more option, so OESD, while we're talking about embroidery, OESD has several quilt label motifs. This one is the memorable quilt labels, and it stitches out this little postcard size label that can then be hand appliqued, or to the back of the quilt, and then you can either embroider, or you could write with a pen all of the information about about who made it, who you made it for, if there was a special occasion, what year, whatever. So those are some three options for creating quilt labels. There's some great information about quilt labels in the big book of machine quilting. Sylvain Bergeron has they've got some other examples of quilt labels. And there's, if you've got more questions about embroidery, be sure to check out the big book of embroidery. So thanks so much for tuning in. Kyle, are there any questions before we close out?
Oh, yes, there is one. You got my mic? Sorry. Judy and I are passing the mic back and forth. How would one make the label on the 790 Pro using the embroidery unit? Any advice?
You can follow the same steps. It's just a matter of using choosing the alphabet or the lettering that you've got on the 790 Pro, but you can use the same hoop. The large Freearm hoop or the medium hoop will work there, and so the process is the same for all of the embroidery modules.
And did you show them your quilts with the corner? I just think that's brilliant. It just makes it much easier, and we're all trying to make sure that our quilts have labels on them. We have the most unidentified artwork in the world, I think, because we don't put quilt labels on there, including me. But I love that it fits into the binding, and you just make it an automatic part of everything that you do, Andy. It's really great.
Yep. And so once I've got the triangle, here I will you baste it in just so that it's secure. Before I add the binding, and then I just go along with the binding, and then it's done. So and I've got I also same. So and if you've got and again, once you have done the design on your embroidery module, you can save that design to your machine so that you can do it over and over again, or when you need to change to the next year, you can do it from 2024 to 2025. And if you have the software, it's even easier to create that design, because then you can size the font on the screen and everything, and digitize it that way. So lots of great options for creating your quilt labels. I highly recommend that everybody we start marking or signing our quilts, so that the people that you give them to, or the people that find them in the future, know who made them, when they were made, and what and then hopefully they'll ask, what's the story behind this quilt?
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
thanks so much for tuning in today, and hope you have a great Saturday.